Hey, what's up? Welcome back to Two Beers of the Band podcast. My name is Harkos. I just edit everything around here, but you are tuned in right here, right now to part 2 of the great conversation with Manny from the Lillypillies. If you have not seen part 1, make sure you go back and check it out right now. All right, you all caught up? All right, let's go ahead and get into part 2 of the great conversation with Manny from the Lillypillies right here, only on Two Beers of the Band podcast.
You can't either, no. I can't help the way I am, 'cause I'm such a dreamer. I'm such a dreamer, yeah.
But I prefer the other stuff more. The creative part.
Well, being someone that lays down the vocals and then does the production and behind that, do you think that makes your music sound better because you do the final production? You make it exactly what you want to put it out there. You're not going in a studio, laying down the vocals, having someone else come to you and say, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we stack here? Why don't we put in a little echo? Why don't we do this and that? And you just being like, okay, sure. You know, you're the professional. You do what is best. You're the
Yes,
professional.
to
You're
answer
the
the
one
question,
to sit there and say, okay, am I going to stack it here? Am I going to do this? What is it like to take your own voice and manipulate it into final production?
I think that it actually is a benefit 100%, and I'll tell you why. Because as much as I love my musician friends, and I've worked with guitarists in the past. You know, my best friends are all musicians, but every musician is a little bit how should I say it, egotistic. And especially when we used to play live, I always used to say, turn the guitar down, I can't hear myself. Like, they would just crank it up. And even in the recording process of the song, you know, I think if the main musician is a guitarist, for example, that song, or the element, the what will cut through in that song will be the guitars. If the main person is a drummer, then, you know, they'll crank up the drums. Whereas I think, whether we like it or not, the most important element in a song is always the vocal and the vocal melody. If you turn on the radio, everything else has to sit back, and the voice has to stand out. It's just the way that it is for most rock pop songs. And often when I'm working with musicians, they can't sort of grasp that or comprehend that. They want their instrument to stand out. And because I'm in control of what the song, the production, then I always make sure that the what cuts through is the vocal, and everything else sits on top of that. And I've struggled with that in the past. I really have.
So I'm glad you brought that up because I agree with you. And here in Nashville, it seems a lot of local venues, when I've heard the song, I know the artist, so I know what to expect when I get there and hear the song start. A lot of times, it seems like the sound guy picks a certain instrument to really make it up front. And it almost seems like they drowned the vocals to the point where you can't really understand what the artist is saying. And to me, that completely defeats the purpose of the song. If I can't hear what the artist is saying, I'm just hearing a bunch of instruments. I can, big deal. I can hear that anyway. But I, it seems a lot of times that the sound check wasn't done properly before the show got started, and it's a personal beef I have, and I'm sure there's 1,000 people in this town that agree with me, and there's probably 10,000 people in this town that disagree with me. But, it is what it is. I'm able to have my own opinion. And certain places I go, I know what to expect when I get there. It's like, it's going to be okay. It's not going to be great. And I feel that slights the artist when you can't hear a beautiful voice, someone just hitting someone who has good range and is willing to use that in their music. In the recorded songs, you hear the range, but at the show, all you hear is the bass or the drums or the guitar or, whatever the case may be. And keeping that in mind, when you write your music, do you write your music to focus on vocals all the way through, or do you write music to focus on vocals to get the point across, but to also amplify certain instruments? For example, I know you play the guitar. Do you ever write a song that focuses both on vocals and the guitar?
I play bass guitar. I do play a little bit of guitar, but I'm not a very good guitarist, which is why I have a guitarist. I To answer your question, I write songs based on vocal melodies because they're the ones that people remember, I think. Even if you listen to classic songs from artists like Queen or Nirvana, even like he would have beautiful vocal melodies, and because if you strip a song, if you just have an instrumental song, yeah, they sound great, and there's plenty of musicians out there that are so talented. But at the end of the day, what makes a good pop song or rock song is to have that vocal melody that you can remember, I think, and that's what I focus on. And it takes work as well.
So, play live in these small venues. Being on stage, I'm sure you don't hear what we hear out in the audience, but do you ever find that, like what I was saying earlier about the sound focusing more on one
Oh yeah, the amount of times that I've come home with no voice left because I've had to try and you know try and sound louder than like trying to hear myself. It's like I can't hear myself, then you try and sing louder, and then you get home and your voice is croaky, and it's like I shouldn't have to come home with a croaky voice if they just turned me up. So many times.
Well, how is the writing process for you? Does it kick in kind of just randomly and you can just sit down and write a whole bunch of music? Or is this something that happens constantly? How do you ever experience writer's block? How does writing come to you?
Yeah, I think if I'm starting a project, like if I'm not really like now that I've just finished, say, an album, I will be quite content to have a little break. And then if I get inspired and I start writing again, it'll just kind of flow. But then when I'm at the finish line and I'm thinking, "Ooh, I need three more songs to finish this album," then that's not really natural because it's something that you need to do in order to finish a project. In that case, I struggle a bit because it's a little bit forced, and then you can get some writer's block happening as well. But in the initial stages, it kind of just all flows, and then I'm thinking I don't have to do another project. I can just promote what I've done so far. But then things just happen naturally. But then at the end of it, as I said, when you need to sort of go past the finish line, that's when the difficulty for me starts, where it doesn't really come natural, but you have to find time and to finish something that you've started.
Well, circling back to the unfinished music, do you think that you said, for example, I need 3 more songs to complete this project? Do you ever think about going back to the unfinished music and finishing something there? Or do you kind of say to yourself, I need something new?
Yeah, I have been. There has been times when, I had an unfinished song which had, to me, an amazing verse, but the reason why it wasn't finished because with the chorus wasn't quite good enough. And then another song where it was the other way around, and I've actually combined the two. And I'm thinking, oh, this now sounds good because the verse is cool and the chorus is good. So I've combined, and it's actually worked. I mean, I haven't done it often, but it's happened on the second album. Yeah.
You've done plenty of live performance. What is the funniest thing you've seen in the audience from the stage?
So when I say I've done plenty of performances, not so much with the Lillypillies because we're more of a studio project, but in the past, yeah, I've done so many live performances. Oh, I've seen it all. I've seen people pour beers on amplifiers and guitarists getting their guitars and just, getting them, backing them off. And I've seen riots. I mean, not many, but I've also been in a situation where when there were so many people in this venue, I'm talking about, I can tell you exactly when it was. It was the year that Sydney had the Olympic Games in 2000, where there would be a lot of, we'd be in demand because there's so many people in Sydney and venues needed bands. So we would play in venues and these places would get so crowded that during the breaks, I would go out and get some air and then the bouncer wouldn't let me back in. And I'm like, but I need to go back on the stage. And no, 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 you need to line up. It's like, no, I'm in the band. I have to go back on the stage and the bouncer wouldn't let me back in. And I'm like, okay, I'll go home and get paid anyway.
Right, right. What is your most useless talent?
Useless talents.
Yeah.
Remembering useless information like music trivia, like I don't know. Yeah, sometimes with my family we play music trivia where we answer questions from, name that tune from the 90s or the 80s or and I know everything. I'm like, why do I even know this stuff? Like, why do I have this useless information in my brain? But I just know. I
Why
don't know why.
why did you choose the style of music that you play? What spoke to you about indie pop?
Um, I like the pop element to it. So I think that I love a song that you can sing along to, but I also love my songs have to have meaning. I can't just write lyrics that are about nothing. I really have to have and sometimes they're too deep. In fact, my mother-in-law the other day, who I didn't even know she listened to my music, like I just had no idea. And she said to me, "Why are your songs so sad sometimes?" I'm like, "Are they? They're not sad. They've got this really like upbeat tempo." And she's obviously listening to them, thinking, "Oh my God." But anyway, I think that I like songs to be pop, to be rock as well, and to be up tempo and be catchy, but at the same time with meaning.
Well, I mean, everybody feels sad at some point. So,
But to me, they're not even sad.
yeah, well, I mean, if she translated your song into a sad song, maybe that is how it appeals to her. Maybe I would hear the song and say, I really enjoy that. I can see myself riding down the road with the top down on the Jeep, sunny day, enjoying this song. I don't
So
see
see,
that song, but like you said earlier, you write your music to let the person listening to the song translate it for what they need.
I'll give you an example. 6 months ago, we released a single which has a dance beat with this really, really catchy, funky bass guitar. And it's like, if you listen to it, it's like, oh, this is like really up tempo. But the song is called I'm a Loner and a Misfit. So, which is a contradiction to the music. And the chorus says, I can't help the way that I am, and I bet you can't either.
Well, there you go. You're writing a song that I have to interpret for myself because you've given me almost a command to interpret the song my way.
And our friend Harkos said to me, this is a song about me. I'm a loner and a misfit. That's what he said to me on one of his streams.
Well, I think a lot of people in the music business, especially writers, singers, people who have their hands on the music, I think they could all agree with that, associate with that. Maybe I'm not saying exactly what I mean, but I see that. I see that. I kind of feel that way too with what I'm doing. I have nobody here to help me get through this, and you and I experienced a little technical difficulty earlier, but I mean, I have to learn it. I have to go through it to make myself better for the next time I do. So I can agree with that. Um, and it doesn't have to be a sad song. It just has to be a song that speaks to me as a consumer. And that's what makes you a good writer. Who's out there listening to your music? Who are your fans?
Um, well, they're from all over the world, really. And if I look at, numbers on YouTube and Spotify, it's mostly USA, Canada, Australia, Italy, and South America, I think. That's where I see and that's why, and again, that's why there's no point really just, going out and doing a gig when I can put out music that people from all over the world can listen to, that don't have to come to Sydney and, you know, and, and listen to me play live. So that's also, I think, very rewarding for me, that someone on the other side of the world is listening to my songs. That's amazing, really, if you think about it.
So
Even
you
just have a conversation with you. I mean, if you think about it, it's a very relaxed conversation. But if I think that you're in the States and I'm in Australia, it's like, wow.
well, I try not to look at it like that because we both love music and I love talking to people about music. And it seems like there are a lot of commonalities between indie artists in the States, here in Nashville, and you being halfway across the world. And I think that it's a beautiful thing that artists have to go through the same struggles no matter where they are. The only difference is some artists lean in and push harder, where some artists see it as a wall they have to climb and it's one step at a time. Where it kind of feels like with you, you see a wall and you're going to jump it and just keep running. And I think that's unique. I wish I talked to a lot more indie artists in America that had the same point of view as you did. So you consider yourself a writer. Who would you want to sit down and write a song with, dead or alive?
It's such a difficult question. So many. I think John Lennon, that would be cool. Seeing as though he wrote with Lennon and McCartney, Lennon and Manny. I think yeah. Or even let me think. You put me on the spot now, but yeah, to answer your question, I think why not?
If you were able to sit down and have a couple of beers with anyone, dead or alive, in the music industry, who would it be? Singer, writer, producer?
Freddie Mercury.
Why is that?
I guess he'd be the life of the party. I think he would be downing those beers more than anyone. I think
Okay.
he have this reputation of having like these crazy parties, and that like everyone in the music industry, as soon as Freddie Mercury had a party, would just go, and these parties would go on for like days. That would be so much fun.
I think I'm a little too old to go to a party that's going to last for days.
Oh my.
When I was younger, I would definitely do that. What is the best advice you've been given along your musical journey?
I haven't really been given a lot of advice. I have given a lot of advice to other people, I think. Um, but I think the only advice would be to keep doing your, like, if you're an artist, keep doing your art. Do it for the right reasons, and don't focus on numbers and clicks and likes, and because they're not that important really. Do it for you, and do it for the right reasons. And if you're an artist, you need to do your art regardless of whether you're Leonardo da Vinci or just a painter. That you need to express yourself, otherwise you can't keep it in. And I think that whether it's art, painting, or music, you need to be an artist, whether you're famous or you're not famous.
Do your songs tell a story?
Oh yes, they tell lots of stories. My songs are my babies, and when I release them to the world, I always feel that it's almost like I'm giving birth, sort of. But yeah, they do. They tell lots of stories, and that's also why the name of my second album is called "Songs from the Present Day," because I really wanted to tell stories of. If you can hear that, that's it. Kookaburras laughing at me. Probably can't hear it.
No, no, I can't.
Okay. We have all these weird animals in Australia, and everything's bigger, and whether it's the spiders or the kookaburras or the birds.
I've
But
heard,
I
I've
think
heard
that
it.
they definitely do tell stories. My songs, yes.
So when you write a sad song, before you release that song, do you ever feel like you're going to be exposed?
Yes and no, because sometimes they're not. I don't necessarily write about myself all the time. So, for example, there's a song that I is on the album, which is out next week, but it was also released last week because it's part of a charity album for kids with cancer. So I sort of gave that song for this compilation to raise money for kids with cancer. And just thinking now why I would release that sad song on a compilation for kids with cancer. But anyway, that's a different story. But that's not about me because it's about being alone. And I'm always surrounded by people. In fact, I actually sometimes I like being alone because I'm always around people. So just to give you an example, that if you listen to it, it sounds like I could be exposed, but really, it's not. That particular song's not about me. So
When you sing your songs live, do you ever have a hard time expressing the emotion in the song? If, for example, you wrote a song, say 4 or 5 years ago, you would have been in a certain headspace and certain things are going on politically, you know, whatever the case may be. And now things have changed, but you're having to sing that song because it's part of an album. Can you express that same emotion on stage when you sing that song?
yeah, I think that lyrics wise, I'm proud of everything that I've written, almost anyway, at least 99%. Um, but I have written songs earlier on that I never thought that I would sing live, because I didn't know at the time that I would even be doing anything live. Not that I've done a lot of live stuff with Lillypillies, but we have. And I remember thinking, geez, I wish that I knew back then that I would be singing this live because I would have been kinder to myself and maybe sung it in a lower range. Whereas to sit the song, like one of the songs is super really like up here and down there and up there. I'm like, if I knew that I was going to be singing this live, I would have been kinder to myself and written it in my range rather than try and shoot for the stars and go. So,
Is it hard to split between emotions when you're doing a live set, going from a very upbeat, happy song to kind of a sad song or maybe a real sad song, and then following that with an upbeat, happy song?
Not really, because I think that during the writing of the lyrics and the recording process, that's when I try and capture everything, and after that, I think my focus is more on other things rather than the lyrics. If I don't know if that makes any sense, but if I'm singing the song live, then I'm probably trying to think of making it sound good vocally, or looking at the people around me saying, okay, like giving them cues, saying, okay, this is where you come in, rather than the actual emotion of the song, which I've sort of tried to capture during the recording process. I think there's too much else going on to worry about, what I'm saying in the song.
So, because you don't have a steady band with you, and sometimes you have to pull in instrumentalists, is it difficult for you to put on a live show?
Yeah, it is, and I've had to reject shows as well where like last minute we got asked to do a show, and I'm like, I don't really have a band at the moment. I could probably, I do know a lot of musicians, and I have a bass player that's I play bass, but also some people that live close to me that have actually helped me out, and they're in a few music videos as well. I've got my son downstairs, and his friend who's a drummer that has also helped me out. So I mean, because we're a duo. So if you think of duos in the past, like, I don't know, Eurythmics or Simon and Garfunkel, or, they're a duo, but then when they perform, they have other people on stage with them as well. And that's what we are. We're a duo, but we rely on other musicians as well. I mean, we could probably do like play to a backing track and stuff, but, don't really want to do that. So.
Well, when you perform live with other musicians, you mentioned earlier you have to look at someone and kind of give them a head nod to say, hey, this is where you step up. So, live performance for you is more difficult than someone or a band that plays together, records together, hangs together, just together all the time.
As far as performing, yes. But as far as the creative side, I think it's a lot easier because I don't have to compromise when I've been in situations, where I'm trying to write songs with other members, and it's always a compromise with, especially there's 4 or 5 bandmates, and they're like, no, I don't like this part, I want this part. Whereas I write 100% of the song, and I then give the completed song to the musicians and say, here's the song, this is what you have to play. So yes, live it is a lot more difficult, but to put it all together. But in the studio, it's easier for me to do it all, I think, and more rewarding for me, selfishly.
What is the top of the mountain for you? What do you have to do to say, I have succeeded?
Well, I can tell you what my dream is. I mean, dreams are for free, right? I know that I probably will never get there, but it's okay. It's a dream. But I think to have a hit song would be a dream for anyone. Just one hit song that pays the bills for the rest of your life. How cool would that be? And it could be even a song that someone else sang, you know?
Why is that? Why can you not achieve that?
Because I'm not signed to a label. I think you have to be signed, I think. But I think it would be amazing. And it always fascinates me how when, for example, now that I'm home here in Australia and I hear a song that's on the radio that's successful, and then I get on a plane and I'm in another country and I hear that same song, I'm like, this song is has spoken to so many people, and there's a huge. It might be like even like a one-hit wonder song, but still, it's gone global around the world. I'm thinking that would be amazing. It would be so amazing to have one hit song that the whole world knows.
So, if you wrote that hit song, who would be the person or the band that put that song out there?
Honestly, I think it could be anyone, and what I mean by that is that there are certain songs of mine that I've produced so much. Like, I mean, when I use the tracks on the door, some of my songs have got 60 to 80 tracks just on the one song. But if you strip it down with just an acoustic guitar and it still sounds good, I think that is the test to see if the song sounds good. If you completely strip it down to just an acoustic guitar. And I actually had a YouTuber, Fern. I don't know if you know Fern, who stripped one of my songs and he played it. He played a cover of one of my songs called "Losing My Mind" just with an acoustic guitar. And I woke up one morning and I can't remember if he sent it to me, if I heard it, and I nearly cried. Like, oh my God, that's so rewarding for someone in the USA to cover my song, and he's just taken away all the production. He's just been singing it. So I think that I know this sounds a little bit maybe obnoxious, but I think sometimes I think, oh, if Britney Spears sang this song, it would be a hit. Or if,
Well,
Elton John sang the song, it would be a hit.
if you were going to pitch your song to a label, you would have to, especially if you were going to walk in the room with a number of people in there, it would only be you and one instrument. Which instrument would you play if you were, or which instrument would you want played if you were going to pitch your song to a label?
Well, if I had to play it, I'd probably learn on the keyboard. Yeah, I'd probably learn on the keyboard.
Do you think your
Play on
song
the keyboard.
You think your songs are meant more for a keyboard or more for an acoustic guitar?
I usually write them on keyboard and then layer it with guitars. And I'm not a very good guitarist, so usually I play the guitar and then I give it to my guitarist and we replace my parts with his parts. Bass, I'm okay with bass, so usually I play all the bass on the songs. So I usually play all the instruments on the songs except for the guitar. Even
One
some drum. I even did some drumming on some of the songs.
one song from writing the song to final production. How much time do you spend on one song?
I actually spend a lot of time, and I'll tell you why, because I usually have put an idea down and I walk away from it. And I think to myself, because usually when you're doing something, the reason why you're doing it is because you think you're doing a good job. So it's like, yeah, this is cool. But then I've learned that if you walk away from it, even for a couple of days, and then open it up again, and it still sounds good, and you keep working on it. But if it's like, oh, that sounded good 2 days ago, but I'm not really happy with that, then there's no point in continuing or on that path. So it usually takes me about 3 or 4 weeks to finish a song, sometimes longer.
Do you feel it's worth it when it's said and done and it's on the album or on the EP? Do you feel like the time you've put in, you're getting the accolades that you're looking for?
Yes, and not even so much the accolades, but just for myself, because I've written songs and recorded songs, 25 years ago, and I still cringe sometimes thinking, "Oh, if I'd only done that part," it's like I can't listen to it because that part really annoys me. Whereas now I don't have that problem because everything that I put out, I'm usually 100% happy with because I get to have the final say. But there are things that I've done in the past where I wish that I could have done differently. So I'm really, really, I guess I'm happy. Like for the first time in my life, I'm finally, I'm satisfied with the music that I'm putting out.
Do you have a group of people that when you're finished with a song, you let them hear it and then they kind of say yes or no, and then you take that into account? Or do you finish a song, let people hear it, and say, I'm going to put it out there either way? I like it, so I'm putting it out no matter what you say.
Yeah, yeah, I've had 3 or 4 people. My brother is a harsh critic. Um, and my son's guitar teacher, he gives me some pretty good feedback. Like last time he said, "Oh, that snare's too loud." And I'm like, "Is it?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it is. So let's just turn that down," or something like just things like that usually. But little things, and ultimately, I then sort of take in the feedback and then decide what to do with it. But yeah.
So you're writer, singer, producer. Is it difficult for you to take criticism of your music?
I think it always is really. I'd like to say that it's not, but that would probably be a lie. Um, because I think that ultimately, unless it's constructive feedback, um, I can deal with that. But if it's just for the sake of saying, "Oh, your music," I mean, and I've been really lucky because I haven't really had a lot of negative criticism, I must say, with Lillypillies. Like I can think of maybe a couple of times when I remember one streamer didn't even get to the chorus and said he didn't like it. I'm like, you haven't even heard the chorus yet. But apart from that, I've been pretty lucky actually. I always sort of, yeah, I think I've been pretty lucky.
Do you think that that's something because you've been doing music so long, the younger you that was writing, producing, if someone said, "Oh, that song sucks," would you have taken that to heart? Or would you have asked that person, "Well, what do you not like about the song?"
The younger me probably would have just been frustrated and yeah. I mean, look, I don't mean to sound arrogant, but my music doesn't suck and whether it's or not, it's not for everyone because people like different music. People like rap, people like rock, people like pop. So my music is not for everyone, but I know that I don't put out anything that doesn't sound professional at least, you know. So whether or not it's your cup of tea is a completely different story. But I know for a fact that what I release, otherwise I don't release it. It's mixed, it's mastered, it's polished, you know, and I can only do the best that I can do, and I'm happy with that, you know.
So, as an artist, if someone criticizes your music, you think, nah, it's just not for you. It's for everyone else. And that's a good attitude to take towards music. To say this
Yeah, I think so.
everyone, it's for my supporters, my fans.
And even when hear other people's music, I don't like everything that I hear, but I can appreciate if it sounds professional and it sounds like someone spent some time doing it and not just releasing something for the sake of it.
Right.
You know, if they've put in the effort and it sounds, there's plenty of music that even that I hear on the radio that I can tell that that person is talented, even though that I don't particularly like it. But I recognize the talent and I respect that.
Do you think that as an artist, it makes it easier for you to respect other people's music, even if you don't like it, compared to just general consumers like me?
Does it make it easier?
Does it make it easier for you to appreciate a song even if you don't like it?
I
Like
think so.
that you can appreciate a song because you can hear the artist put in so much time. The writer put their heart and soul in the song, but it's just not your thing. Does it?
Yeah, I do, I really respect, you know, I mean, I love lots of genres of music as well. I don't just because I play and I write indie pop doesn't mean that I just listen to indie pop. I listen to a whole range of music, and sometimes, you know, there are certain styles of music that I like, but that I can't necessarily play because I'm not good at everything. You know, I'm kind of yeah, so I have a lot of respect for lots of different kinds of music, and but yeah, I do appreciate anyone that's put some effort and passion into their music for sure.
Has your writing style and or music evolved from?
Yes, I think it has. I think I think that I'm more capable as well. I think it's improved as in now I can kind of navigate the technological side easier, and it doesn't take me as long as it used to because you know when you have a home studio set up, like I used to watch tutorials on how do I do this and how do I get this effect and that. Whereas now that I've been doing it for a while, I can just sort of go there and do that, which makes it easier.
Do you think that is a talent that other indie artists need to have?
I think it helps, and I think that it just comes with practice, you know. Um, Other indie artists, just like anything, you have to start somewhere. You can't start from the top. No one has. And but you know, it's not a race, is it? To get to the finish line, you just keep doing your craft, and eventually you'll get to a stage where you'll be 110% satisfied.
Okay. What are the presets in your car tuned to? You said you listen to other styles of music, a diverse array of music. What are the presets in your car tuned to?
Well, I like to listen to like new indie artists, and the reason why I say that is because as much as I love the classic songs, I get bored of um like I don't know what it's like in the US, but in Australia, when they play, I don't know, Bon Jovi, they won't play some obscure Bon Jovi song. They'll play Living on a Prayer. It's like, how many times can you listen to Living on a Prayer? Play something else from that band, like, or play something else from Queen. Don't just play We Are the Champions or Radio Gaga or whatever. But no, they just play the hits of those bands, and it's boring for me. So I love to listen to new stuff, like stuff that I haven't heard before. And so the presets in my car are mostly, um, I guess, yeah, indie rock, indie pop, mostly anyway. And then, sometimes I like to listen to the classics as well. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I know that we're kind of on a time limit here
Yes.
because you have to get your day started and I need to wind mine up at this point. So always like to ask an artist this question. Um, what are two questions that no one has ever asked you that you wish they would? And what are the answers to those questions?
Um, Probably, wh- what do you hope to leave as a legacy with regards to your art? I think no one's ever asked me that. And my answer would be that I don't know, I'm just hoping to leave something that will give joy to other people, and that they will just enjoy listening to all my efforts and um, all the songs that I've written over the years. It would be very rewarding if someone, you know, did that. I don't know if that makes any sense at all.
It does. It does. It does. So I guess I'll ask this question. I'll kind of interrupt your thought process, but how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, except that I should not listen to the news as much as I do, because what's going on in the world is really affecting me. I think it's very sad that still in 2025 people kill each other, and it has an effect on me, unfortunately, and I wish it didn't, but it does. And I think it's very, very sad the way that the world is going, for my kids' future, for me. But I'm okay. I'm doing okay. I think that I'm very fortunate to be able to do what I'm doing, so I feel lucky.
All right.
And how are you doing, Chris?
I agree with you on that last statement. I really, really do. So if people out there want to find your music, find out anything about you, all your social media handles, where do they need to go?
Yeah, so we're everywhere on all streaming platforms, and Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, I think. We have a link tree. There's link trees where you link tree, which is Lillypillies, and on there you can find all our stuff.
Okay.
I think we're pretty easy to find.
All right. All right.
I haven't got a yet. Maybe I should get a website. Haven't got to that yet.
I'm pretty sure Ask Carcos, he'd probably tell you the same thing. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this interview with Manny of Lillypillies. And if you want to find out anything else about him and his music, check him out on all his social media. All right, good night. Thanks for
Thanks,
listening.
Ken. Appreciate it.
Looking lost, but I'm free. I can't help the way I am. I bet you can't either. I bet you can't either. No, I can't help the way I am. 'Cause I'm such a dreamer. I'm such a dreamer.